second darkest season happened when I was in graduate school, right before that train story. I got into a very toxic relationship, and she just tore me down. Absolutely got in my head and tore me down. And I remember I was so broken. And I had a good friend, probably my best friend. He literally drove me to the therapist building where they walked me to the door and sat with me in the waiting room until I got in, and then waited there to take me back because he knew I wouldn't drive myself. That's how much of a bad place I was at. And so I thank God for him. In that time, I was able to dispel some of these untruths that she'd gotten in my head about. One of the things she had convinced me of is that I had narcissistic tendencies, and I was hurting her, and I was the reason everything was falling apart, which of course is a projection from her. I didn't realize it. And so I got to the therapist, and one of the first things I said is, look, this is what I have been told, and I want to make sure. At the time I didn't know as much about it. I want to make sure that this isn't true, so that way, or I want to fix this, I think is what I said, so that way I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to keep hurting people. I want to fix this. And the therapist said, the fact that that's even a thought and something you're willing to say is evidence that it's not true. Because a narcissist will never think they're a narcissist. Right? Because how could they be a narcissist? They're amazing. And so since then, I've learned a whole lot about this. And I know that's a term. Narcissism is a term we throw out a whole lot, especially after breakups, right? Oh, it's a narcissist. Oh, they're a narcissist. They're just a narcissist. That's why it didn't work out. It's like, or maybe it didn't work out. And so I don't throw that loosely. I didn't date a ton of people, but I dated enough people to know that a couple of them had narcissistic tendencies, and a couple of them just didn't work out. They were having a selfish time in their life. That's just how it was. But this one was, and so being able to work on that part, but the hard thing for me was that it was during this high season with me and God. And I was like, why didn't you warn me? Like, why didn't you stop me? It almost felt like you led me. But the interesting thing is that in that time with the therapist, I was able to identify how some childhood traumas. I'm not going to get into the why of how that, but I was only pursuing women whose attention I had to get, which meant I was pursuing women who didn't actually like me. Because if they liked me, I wasn't interested. And so I ended up being cannon fodder for these narcissists because it's all about them. And when I finally was able to break free of that mental problem, that bad way of thinking, I ended up dating the girl who I'd been close to for the last 3 years. My best friend, that's who I told everything to, and we've been married since. A wonderful marriage. But it took. She was right there. She was right there, and literally, she'll tell you, "I was waiting for you for 2 years." So it's a sore spot for my wife, but I'm grateful for both of those dark seasons because both of those dark seasons set me free. In different ways.
Did you notice your own decline, or did it take a friend?
I definitely noticed it.
Okay. And how long did it take when it started, I guess, declining?
It didn't take long. She did a number on me in 4 months.
Wow.
No, I'd been in a different toxic relationship with a narcissist that I was in for 1.5 years. So I was mature enough to recognize the signs and say, I gotta get out. I gotta get out. But I'd been so messed up at that point, I was like, I'm getting out, and I'm a horrible person, and I'm the horrible, and it's me, it's my fault, but I gotta get out. I can't survive this. So it's a weird thing. It's hard to describe, but I can have a lot of compassion for people who go back with their abuser. Because you look at someone who goes back with their abuser, like, why they're moronic? Why are they going back? But it's a weird, messed up cycle of craving the reconciliation. It's hard to describe because it's like a fog, again, like depression, like most mental health, it's a fog, and when you get out of it, you're like, why was I thinking? Was I high? Like what was going on? But while you're in it, you don't see it. And so I was able in some ways to see it, and
Yeah.
in some ways I had to have a friend be like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So I recognized her craziness. I didn't recognize my own as much. Let's put it that way.
And when you're talking about your depression and the fogginess, I just wanted to ask, did you hear, okay, not like in a crazy way, like a delusional way, but did you have voices in your head, like talking you down and that type of darkness?
I think I saw that type of darkness you're talking about more with my PTSD.
Okay, yeah.
That was more, and that's an anxiety-induced disorder. So I, at least for me, felt that way with more of my anxiety challenge, which I didn't even know was anxiety. So as you said, I'm chill. I don't really struggle with anxiety. I struggle more with depression. That's my usual fall. But when I had anxiety, it was more of that, like, this is not of God and this is not of me. Like, what is this? What is this? And trying to rebuke that, get that out of my life. With depression, what I found was it was more of my own voice that was damning me.
Right.
My own voice kept telling me these things.
Right.
And I had to shut that and be like, no, positive self-talk, right? This is not who you are. This is not what it's always going to be. And so in my depression, it was like my spiritual dial was dialed down, both sides, at least for me, where it was like I wasn't really hearing from God, but I wasn't hearing the other side. It was just nothingness, like I said. When I find the as you say, those voices, the kind of angel and demon on your sides, that has been for me more my healthy state, where all of a sudden, like, if I'm not aware, I'm like, why did I think about that thing? Oh, okay, shut up, right? I don't want to hear you. And so it's and psychologically, we'll talk about the id, the ego, the superego, and all these different things. But for me, it's I see it as the spiritual attacks, the spiritual sides, where God's trying to convict you of the best path, and the devil's trying to convict you of the shortcut. Right? And I feel that much more clear when I am in a better mental state, funny enough. So, at least for me, that was my experience where and the therapist helped me a lot with this, I had to recognize the lies that I was believing about me. And I had to journal, and I had to start dispelling these things. And then it's one of those things where literally the more practice you do, the more you do it, the better it truly gets. And so everyone, I think, and this is a great example, how everyone in their mental health journey it's a little different. And also in my spiritual journey as a pastor, the devil attacks you differently. In our staff at the church, he attacks us all in ways in which our strength, he'll attack us there. Someone who has a speaking thing attacks with their ability to speak. Someone who has a shepherding and leading ability attacks there. And so he attacks you in your giftedness, he attacks you in your passion, he attacks you in all these different ways that's unique to you. Because funny enough, we don't talk about that a lot, but the devil knows you as well, right? And knows who you are, and maybe not depending on how you view the spiritual thing, maybe not the devil, maybe your demon or whoever's been assigned to you, however you want to look at it. If you ever read Screw Tape Letters, it's a very fascinating look. C.S. Lewis's at least look into that side of it, and it's a higher demon talking to his nephew demon about how to tempt his assignment. So it's a very interesting read. It's very interesting. I want to read that. But it's meant to be in a way for you to understand how the devil's attacking you. Okay. So it's a good book if you're interested in this type of thinking. That book I highly recommend. Screw Tape Letters.
I think, like, in the beginning of my short journey with God, we're almost coming to a year. I know. But I think I've been avoiding anything with the devil or demons or whatever, just because I know that I've walked with him majority of my life. That in order, do you know Pastor Pavagoya? I do. So I was listening to his sermons about prayers and stuff, and that opened my mind of, like, I don't think I know God's voice. Because I think the voices that I heard in the earlier parts of my journey with God was actually Satan imitating as God. But and so I had this talk with my pastor. I was like, I don't think I know God's voice, and like I keep hearing these voices. And so he's the one that pointed out, like, well, you've been spending 80% of your life with Satan and not enough with God, so of course you don't know his voice. And so I actually cut out media from August for like all the months. I cut out all media and I just consumed myself with God's words and like, you know, like Bible apps and stuff like that, right? And then the voices got super clear, like silence. So then now I think I'm ready to start learning more, like educating myself more about that side, since now I think I am comfortable in saying that I know God's voice.
That is phenomenal. And there's actually a principle about this in the Bible. Because if you're young in the faith, it's considered a lamb. You're not meant to be in certain positions. You're not meant to be doing certain things because that's a very vulnerable time.
Yeah.
Right? And so those who have been in the faith much, much longer and are very familiar like with God's voice and with, you know, just different things. For example, and I'll give an example of this, the book of Ezekiel, you weren't allowed to read till you were in your 40s.
Oh, wow.
Because you didn't have the spiritual maturity. Now, granted, that was during a certain time years ago, but it's been a practice that we've understood that you know, you couldn't be a rabbi till you were 30, and all of these things that it just takes some time and being familiar with it, because then you're just vulnerable to any type of thought. Well, that verse says this, so it must be this, and now you go on this rabbit train that's going to end up being more damaging. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you said there, and if anyone here, if you're just starting on your journey, you know, just be very careful, and not saying that you have to be afraid of anything, because I don't believe in
God
fear-based,
will protect you.
of course.
Yeah,
but again, there's certain things you can do that will be helpful versus not.
Sure.
Right? So awesome, excellent principle there that you just outlined.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On that note, for like listeners who are kind of like going back to church and finding like your journey, rediscovering their faith, like what is one advice or perspective that you can offer them?
Be careful not to accept or reject an image in your head that you've created, that you think coming back to church will be.
Oh, yeah.
Coming back to God will be.
Yeah.
Because I worked with a lot of young adults who are coming back to church, but rather than coming back into a new experience God is trying to show them, they're trying to come back to the failed system that they left. They're just trying to accept it nicer now.
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought. No, it was as bad as you thought. There's a new thing here. So that's one thing I'll say is just be able to say this is a new time, a new experience, and don't try to just follow what you've thought in your head. Two, recognize there are a lot of broken, underdeveloped, arrested developed people who are not going to represent God well, and they'll usually be the ones that want to talk to you first. Okay? So they're going to be the ones that want to get you, because the more mature Christian will know, hey, let them be, let them get settled, let them figure it out, you know? And so don't be turned off right away by people or it being disappointing. There's an actual condition of people who go to Paris and like it's so not what they expected that they have a mental breakdown. It's an actual condition, right? And the third thing I'll say, anything that is worth it to us is not worth it to us immediately.
That's a good one.
Relationships, including with God, churches, small groups, nothing that is worth it immediately.
Yeah.
So you want this feeling of connection and community. You're not going to have that your first meeting. You're going to have it the first sermon. That's not going to happen immediately. That's going to take time to develop. If you're consistent with it and you meet people that at least are nice people, then you'll get there. But so many people want to come and expect like, hello, I'm your best friend now. You know, which if that were to be the case, we'd be freaked out and leave.
Yeah.
And so it takes time to feel settled and connected somewhere.
Yeah.
That's just reality. So if someone is coming back to church, recognize if you walk away, okay, I'll just give, church will be worth it to you. It is worth it to millions and billions God will be worth it to you. It's worth it. He's worth it to billions and billions of people. But it won't be immediate.
Right.
Give it some time.
Yeah.
And if you're broken somewhere on the journey, talk to a pastor. That is, be careful with pastors. But find someone you can trust, someone who's good, a spiritual mentor. It doesn't have to be a pastor, but a spiritual mentor who can help navigate where perhaps you're falling into a very easy trap and help you kind of avoid those. So it'd be the best advice I could give someone just starting out or coming back.
Yeah, I think that is so crucial. I mean, that's, first of all, like, amazing advice, because I think, like, with the current generation, whether you're still in school, you're navigating a new career, or you're finding who you are, I think instant gratification is such an expectation.
Yes.
I feel like instant gratification was created by the devil.
With social media too, because we have all of the information at our fingertips.
Because God doesn't want us to compete.
The popcorn generation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's interesting. Sorry, social worker coming out here. Instant gratification has a direct connection to shame.
Yeah.
We're so ashamed in this culture.
Yeah.
Church or not church. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And people's like, oh, it's the church thing. No. Hey, look out there. Someone just yesterday say, oh, it's the church. I go, maybe for you.
Yeah.
But there's shame out there anywhere.
Yeah.
Political shame. There's just, you come in this world, you're going to encounter it. That's why we come to God to dispel it.
Yeah.
Right? We were vulnerable to dispel these things.
Right.
Truth will set you free. This is this concept. Go to any recovery group and they'll tell you this.
Yeah.
So this instant gratification thing is actually perpetuating a shame culture even further.
Yeah.
That's why social media is perpetuating this shame. Sorry, I just said that. I'm like, I've been just talking about this recently, and so part of what being vulnerable in a community, not a pseudo community on Facebook. I mean, that's my millennial. Sorry, Instagram, TikTok, we get it, right? Really not. Yeah. Facebook's for grandma. So anyway, Instagram and TikTok. These and even gaming, right? These are pseudo communities. I'm not saying they're not communities. I'm not saying that you don't find connection there. You do, but you don't find the connection you psychologically need and sociologically need in those spaces.
Yeah.
Right? Oxytocin isn't released in those spaces like it's being released right now. Right? This is a trusting chemical. We need to be around people who we feel see us to a degree. Right? It's part of our health. It's part of our mental health.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, this instant gratification culture is just, again, but to your point, it's also affecting now when I go back to church, because I go back to church and expect to feel that gratification right now.
Yeah.
And you just don't.
Yeah.
But you're kind of expected to everywhere else.
Yeah.
And like I said, the devil, it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
He always works in those shortcuts.
And I mean, I feel like we could spend like another hour talking about this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is such a relevant conversation, I think, again, with growth, right? Like how I feel like we are so conditioned to like quantify like every single like moment in our life, and we're like, how does growth happen? Like, how long does it take, right? If it takes like 10 years, like, is that too long? Is that like, like what is hard, right? So I think we can
no, absolutely. Speaking on coming back, I think, like you said, instant gratification, and also that's a huge thing, especially because like I noticed up till I got baptized, 3 weeks leading up to my baptism was the hardest. The hardest. Like all of a sudden, I actually started fasting because I didn't know what else to do. But the devil, okay, when you've been walking with the devil for so long and you start really trying to walk with God again, he will do anything and everything to stop that. And people would tell me that, and I think because in the beginning of my journey, I just fell so deep into God that like I didn't let anything deter me. And so I thought everything was smooth, everything was good. I was, doing my part and like really dedicated. But then, man, 3 weeks before my baptism, he got me so bad where literally my pastor even told me, maybe you're not ready to be baptized right now.
Wow.
And I was about to call you because I was like, well, you know what? I know Pastor Andrew's going to baptize me.
I'll
So, but I was like, yeah. And so I think you have to be aware of that. But one of the things, speaking of church, that has continually burned fire within me is your sermon that you gave at camp meeting of what church is. And so whenever I have a conversation about church with anybody, I actually like quote you. Because no, it was such a huge impact because I think people forget what church is and why God created church. You know, like you said, he didn't create it like the well don't go to the physicians. The sick do, you know?
Yep.
He created it, it's a hospital, it's for sick people, it's for sinners to come for repentance. That's what church is, you know? And I think when you start peeling all the onion and you kind of come down to the foundation of why you're not there for the people.
Yeah.
You know, if you create a community, a connection, that's a bonus that God has provided you. But you should be going to church for God, you know, for your own connection with God.
A couple things you mentioned there that I just want to touch on. So it's interesting about your baptism.
Yeah.
So I am not a Baptist. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian.
Yeah.
And so Baptists have a lot of emphasis naturally on baptism, right? on this event.
Yeah.
I can tell a Baptist when I say, so are you a Christian? Yes, since June 7, 1940. No. I know that's a Baptist because there's a huge emphasis on that moment because it's kind of, once that moment happens, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens,
Yeah.
you know? And I believe in a discipleship, saving relationship journey with God. So it's one like any relationship where you can walk away, right? It's not one that he keeps you there and you're stuck now. Some people are like, I want to be stuck, just keep me there. So that way, no matter what I do, it's okay. Like, no, it's a walk, it's a journey with anyone else. Now, he doesn't abandon you, so it's not like a bye real quick or did I leave God? You don't accidentally step away from God, right? And so my point with that is that in spite of that view, what I have found is in the months and days leading up to a baptism and the months and days following a baptism, there's usually a very heightened spiritual attack.
Oh yeah.
It is amazing to see. I've seen this time and time again.
I've experienced both and continue to experience them.
Yes.
It gets harder.
It does. In many ways it does, and then it gets better.
It gets better after my baptism, God definitely gave me peace.
Yes.
And gave me time to like recover. And then I got another attack, you know, and so it's
waves. It comes in waves. And the thing is, what you're saying is not, I mean, in a way, of course, it's special to you.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite common.
Yeah. No,
You know what I'm saying? So like what you're saying is something that a lot of people experience when they do that. So be aware.
That's why, I think people need to be aware.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's not going to be all roses and butterflies the moment you start walking with God. It's actually going to become harder.
Yeah.
And I don't think people talk about that because for some reason, you know, Jesus is represented as a friend. Yeah. Yes, God represents love, but he's also justice. And it's told in the Bible a million times to fear God. He's not our best friend, you know, he is our Heavenly Father. And so like he will protect us and guide us, but at the same time, he will throw trials at us, you know, and he tells us to be in good faith. And that gets really hard, you know? So it's a struggle. And so I think it's setting up for failure when people present the walk with God in such a like dreamy, it is a positive way, but like, what am I trying to say? Like in such a beautiful, like sugar-coated kind of rose-colored glasses, right?
Yeah. And I want to touch on that because it's interesting. I mentioned a principle to the other group I talked about at camp meeting that I want to bring up here. There is a journey God takes his people on.
Yeah.
that's very, very similar to how a parent takes their child. And let me explain. Your first stage as a parent is a caretaking stage where you're taking care of all the needs. And a lot of Christians want to stay there.
Yeah.
We're like, God, why did this happen? You said you loved me. That's a very immature, childlike relationship with God. The next stage is the cop phase. This is where a lot of Christians say it's all about the rules, or a lot of non-Christians will say it's all about the rules, legalistic, blah, blah, blah. Well, a parent is going to set boundaries for children. Israel is at a childhood phase when God gives the 10 Commandments, right? And like any parent, these are the rules of the house. It's not done in a legalistic, you got to do it or love me way. It's done in a parent providing structure to your life way. But here's the part that few people realize. He then goes from this cop phase to this coach phase. Where as a coach, you're going to allow your child to handle challenges. Because if you don't, what we get is what we call a helicopter parent or snowplow parents. And this is where a lot of people get mad. When God tries taking them into this season, they're like, well, you said you love me. Why am I experiencing this trial? Well, that's a spoiled child. Now, that's hard to say when someone is experiencing cancer or experiencing this loss or that loss. It's hard to say. I would never say that to someone experiencing those types of challenges. But let me just give an example of my own life. When I was a 14-year-old, my father, we got a phone call, the house phone, that dates me a little bit. We got a phone call, the house phone, of one of my friends at school.
My mom still has a phone.
It still exists. Okay.
Yeah, it still does.
So, so it was a dad of one of my female friends, my I won't say my girlfriends, because it was my girlfriend, my female friend, who was calling to talk to my dad because apparently I had called her something that I don't know if it's appropriate for a podcast. So okay. I'm not going to say it. And so I said, Dad, it's for you. And he goes, well, what is this? And I said, well, it's this guy, and he says that I said this. And he goes, well, did you do it? And I go, no. So my dad says to me, well, that sounds like your mess. And I'm like, oh, betrayal. Dad just threw me in the deep end without a floaty. Like, what are you doing? Unbeknownst to me, behind the scenes, Dad was in communication, but he wasn't going to let me know that. Because what people don't understand who are helicopter parents or what I call snowplow parents, where they pay, you get self-esteem by handling your child's challenge. But by building your self-esteem, you are robbing them of theirs. You are robbing them of their ability to handle the world. In order to enjoy the world and the goodness and the beauty that we have to have a sense that we can exist in it and handle what might come. So is it the loving thing for God to take care of every challenge and give the appearance of heaven on earth now when it's not? Or is the loving thing allowing you to handle your trial and recognize you can do it? So the next time something comes, you're not devastated and destroyed when something bigger happens to you, because you recognize, I can handle this. I can move forward with this. Now, if we didn't live in a world of sin, and I mean, by the way, most world religions recognize this is a messed up world and something's wrong, right? So it's one of the foundational tenets of Buddhism, for example. So we recognize something's off. I mean, I think the inner soul of most people recognizes something's off. Or spirit, depending on how you want to look at it. But anyway. And so you recognize something is off, something is wrong. However, you long for something that is not that way. And a lot of people, one of the big stumbling blocks for people in the faith is thinking heaven is meant to be on earth because I accepted God. I accepted God, so I no more diseases, no more challenges, no more accidents, no more job losses, no more not getting that promotion. I should get everything no more social anxiety, no more mental health issues. No. But he's with you to get through it. and will give you your strength to get through those things. So there's one quick story. My wife and I, we lost a child. And so this was between my two children. We lost one. And we got it was a miscarriage. We didn't lose the child that we'd had, but it was a miscarriage. Let me clarify. And afterward, we're praying because we got pregnant very quick afterwards. And my wife said, I don't know how to pray about this child, to protect this child. And what I told my wife, I said, you've got your journey with God. I'm not going to try to pose my journey on God to you. And my wife and I are very clear about that. She's got hers, I got mine. We're in this journey together, but like, I'm not trying to dominate her story. She's not trying to dominate mine. It's healthy. But she's sharing this with me, and this is what we do. We share, and I said, baby, when I pray, I don't pray that it's all going to work out the way I want it to. I let God know what I want. I don't pray with the expectation that I don't live in a world of sin and tragedy anymore. I pray with the belief and the promise that no matter what tragedy I face, I will get through it. I will be given the strength and the tools to get through it. And I've seen enough people have their entire life rocked and turned around and find peace that passes understanding to get through that. To know that God will not abandon me. And He will give me that peace, and He will give me that strength that I don't know where it comes from. I've experienced that. I've felt that. And so this is what we're promised in Christianity. This is what we're promised in the journey. Not that everything is going to be fine and dandy. Trials will come, just like any loving parents know. But let me nuance that real quick. I don't think God orchestrates a tragedy. I don't believe that. It goes against my theology and belief of God. But God may allow you to walk in that tragedy, so that way you can learn what it means to go through life and not lose your mind. Right?
So thank you so much, because I honestly could probably do another 2 hours. Just keep going and just like constantly listen to your sermons.
That's what the conversations are, right?
Yeah.
It just keeps going. But I think again, it's so relevant to what we're going through right now, especially in this country, and just everything that's happening. To know that, like, when we walk with God, like, yes, there are inevitably, there's going to be ups and downs, right? But we know that there is a God that will carry us through.
That's right.
I'm so grateful.
Drop the mic.
I'm so grateful that you surrendered to God and you finally accepted your calling, because I told you this during camp meeting as well. It's like, your sermons really hit home for me personally, but I'm sure it, like, you just have a way of explaining God's words in a way where it's not just a sermon, and I still take a lot of what you said and carry it through my journey. And so I'm so grateful that you are one of His shepherds or disciple or messengers, because I would testify that it's made a huge impact on my like early and still continually steps with Christ. So I'm so grateful that you would do this with us as well, because I really wanted you, especially the impact that you've made on my life as well. So I'm so grateful to you and to God and to Eliza, and I'm so
The honor was mine, Grace. Thank you so much. Man, I need you to come to every church I go to and start back.
I don't think you would have a problem.
No. Thank you so much, Grace and Eliza, for giving me the time, and I'm glad we were able to do this.
Yes, and Pastor Andrews has a podcast called Step by Step, where do you want to?
Sure, it's a chronological journey, and I share this at the beginning and start at the first episode. It's a chronological journey through, right now it's through the Gospels, and so a lot of the Gospels have stories mixed, matched, and everywhere, and I go into why that is, why you might see a story here and a story there, and something seems inconsistent. So it's looking at the story chronologically, just a few verses at a time.
I love it.
It's on YouTube for my elderly folk. It is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Okay, very
So step by
accessible.
step, yeah.
Okay, I
Step
love
by
it.
step with Andrew Nobly.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Shall we pray?
Let's pray,
Yes,
yes,
let's
please.
pray, yes.
Yeah, and I can pray. Our friend in heaven, I'd like to thank you so much for giving us this time where we can just sit down and have a raw and honest conversation about how much you've carried us through in different seasons of our lives. I would like to say a special prayer for the people who are listening, that no matter what they're going through, that they can find strength in you and continue to wrestle with whatever they are, whatever that is heavy in your minds. I pray that they will find insights through just whatever we share. I would also like to pray for Pastor Andrew as he's going through transitions, that you would walk with him, be with his family, his 2 kiddos, that they will be comforted and will also find so much blessings through this transition. Thank you so much again for being with us, and continue to watch over us. That's my prayer, amen.
Amen. Dallas is super lucky to
Oh,
have you.
thank you.
So blessed.
Yeah, so my transition is to location, just so it's clear.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. He's leaving us.
Geographical transition.
Yes, geographical.
Yes, maybe I should have said that.
Job transition.
So if you're in Texas, you could go.
Yeah, I'll
to
be in Burleson, Texas.
Yeah, he's leaving Nashville, Tennessee, but it's okay.
Sad.
We'll see you
Cheers.
again. Thank you.
All right, thank you.